I'm not even full-time drinking.
What's that? That is the most rewarding. It sounds more. I know when I was a little girl, I was so afraid of death. But it's so rewarding.
Well, I must admit, I'm not crazy about it yet. So.
Well, you really help.
You accept it. You accept it as you get older.
Yeah. There's no alternative.
Just hope it's quick.
I'm watching this.
Got Brad?
I got 6 on one, I got 6 on
guys.
the other.
Yep, I got 6 in my phone.
You guys got it? Brad, you all set up
Yeah.
ready to go?
Oh, yeah.
All right, gentlemen, I would like to call the Village of Vernon Board meeting to order. Today is Thursday, February 13th at 6 p.m. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag to the flag and a moment of silence. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Brad, our clerk administrator, would you please do the roll call and open meeting compliance?
President Shu,
I am here.
Trustee Sonny is not here, Trustee Finch,
Here.
Trustee Newman,
Here.
Trustee Millies.
Here.
This meeting is noticed and posted according to law.
Thank you, Brad. Board members, the first agenda item we have is the nomination to the Sex Offender Residence Board. As you know by my memo, David Carlson and Susan Black were appointed to the previous committee. Fortunately, that committee never had to meet. David Carlson, by my memo, as indicated, he is willing to serve out his term till 2020-25. I did contact Susan Black, who was appointed to the committee previously, and she's willing to extend her term. And I also talked to Curtis Ruda. He is a retired police officer, a retired Milwaukee deputy police officer. Susan Black is also a retired police officer, but both are willing to serve on this board if the board so chooses to agree with my nomination, although it is a nomination from the board. Does any other board members have any other nominations that they'd like to add at this point? Then hearing that, I'd entertain a motion to appoint Susan Black for a 3-year term ending April 30th, 2026, and Curtis Ruda for a 1-year term ending 4/30/2025. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion, board members?
I've known Susan Black for a long time. I think she'd be great for that committee.
Oh, that's great. Thanks. And she comes highly regarded from other people that know her. I didn't, both these police officers. And just so you know, we had a couple other police officers that if these police officers didn't come forward, they'd be willing. We have a lot of police officers in Vernon. They're retired, but further discussion from the board. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Board members, would you mind doing a deviation to hear the, oh boy, I should do, let's just do the Sheriff's Department report and then we'll go back to public comments, because now we have public here. Is there any report, Riley, or any report, guys, that you have? Not that you have to have one, but.
Not really. The only thing that's been brought up recently is the peddler ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
The Vernon ordinance doesn't say anything about religious or charitable peddlers or political, and had a couple of them going around, and it was brought to my attention that they weren't comfortable with it and they didn't know if it was official or not. So I didn't know if we wanted to update the ordinance to reflect that, or to make it where they have to get a license or not. I looked at the Muskoge's ordinance, for example. They have a blurb in there about
Nonprofits.
Nonprofits and how they can go through the process, but their fees are waived.
Right.
So I don't know if you wanted to do something.
Well, what we'll do is we'll put this on the next board agenda in March, or we'll put it on our first board meeting with some suggested provisions.
Okay.
That sound good?
Yep, that sounds
And
good.
any input you want to give, we greatly appreciate it.
Okay, sounds good.
Anything else, gentlemen?
I think that's it.
Thank you for your wonderful dedicated service. I'm sorry, now we do have public in the audience. Is there any public that would like to make comments? Nope, nobody wants to comment. Anybody would like to sing the national anthem? I'm just kidding. The next agenda item I have on here is establish a date for the Sexual Offender Residency Board and Village Board. Obviously, as I stated before, this board, the Village Board or Town Board, none of the boards have been trained, and we have an excellent attorney with Arnsmolter, Macy, and Riffle that would be willing to do the training, and gave Brad emailed Eric Larson.
Yep.
And Brad's got, several dates, but I did check with these, with our committee people to see what date they could do, and March 6th at 10 a.m. I think that's a Wednesday morning. Could you guys make March 6th at 10 a.m. for a training?
What did you say it was
It's a Wednesday morning
Wednesday?
at 10 a.m. Is that okay if we set it for that? And then Brad, do you mind shooting Eric an email that?
I told them
And
today.
what we'll do too is, if the board members don't mind, the Sexual Offender Committee needs to represent, elect a president and a vice, and they're only a committee of 3, but they still have to do just a little bit of housekeeping, so, depending on Eric's timing, we might have them meet 15 minutes earlier or whatever, but, so I just wanted to, see if that was, Brad, do you want us to make a motion to establish, or is it just that the board agreed by consensus?
I'll defer to the board if you want to make a motion, you guys can.
I'd make a motion that we meet on Wednesday, March 6th at 10 a.m. for the sexual offender training session.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Any idea how long this session lasts?
I think about an hour, and I was gonna ask Eric, or Brad,
When I email him tomorrow, I will ask him how long the training is.
and Brad, when you email him, can you ask Eric if he has any training material that we could get to the village board and the sexual residency board? That way, if they read through the material, I like that, and then when you're doing the session, if there's any notes you wanna put on, so Brad will do that, confirm the date and get any information, Brad, that you can get from the attorneys.
Yep.
For the training. And you saw the attorney's letter that when and if they have a hearing, well, if they are gonna have a hearing, the village board cannot attend their hearing because we're the appeal to that. So we can't, so you can't talk to anybody about it, you gotta recuse all. If anybody wants to talk to you, I'm sorry. Does that sound good? I'm sorry, gentlemen, did I ask for a vote on that?
Yeah.
We passed?
We passed it.
Okay. The next agenda item, in 2019, the town board did a pretty comprehensive review of Chapter 270, the sexual residency ordinance, but it hasn't been looked at since then. I haven't seen any letters from Attorney Macy, but that doesn't mean I haven't missed any. And I wanted the board to authorize the village attorney just to review that ordinance as it relates to applicable state and federal laws related to sexual offender residency. Is that agreement with the village board? Like I said, we did an extremely comprehensive, in fact, President Fortner was involved in that, and there was a lot of background information. A lot of background information to make sure that it was right. So I just wanted to see if the board would agree with me to send that back to our municipal law firm, just to have them to review it, just to make sure that it's in compliance. Because one thing I said to our village attorney is, boy, I'd like to extend that we have the maps. Well, there's one in the front hall, where they can, the domicile law goes into effect where they can live. And I said to Attorney Macy, well, I'd like to expand that from 1,000 to 2,000, and I got a little strict talking to our attorney, but at least that'll come up with Eric, but,
Yeah, didn't Macy deal with most of this back with?
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, it's just kind of just.
But I would feel better, especially with, it's real, all of our ordinances are important, but, I'm not sure on, state and federal laws, how they relate to this, and I'm sure they're up on it. So is there a motion to authorize the village attorney to review Village of Vernon Chapter 270, sex offender residency restriction and sexual offender residency map.
Also move.
Is there a second to that motion? Discussion from the board? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Board members, at the last night's plan commission, meeting, we did discuss the new developers agreement. Brad did put that in your packet for you to review. That developers agreement was drafted by Eric Larson of our law firm. He's drafting it for many of the municipalities that they represent, 39 of them. And he did put that provision in for sewer and water if that ever comes to be. With that, the next agenda item is the land division control ordinance. So the village, the plan commission, village board, as you know, because you all were there, did agree with the developers agreement with the contingency that our law firm review one last time just to make sure that any of the changes that were suggested by mainly our engineer and planning staff, and just to make sure that it's drafted, in conformance to what we should be doing. And then the land division control ordinance, the plan commission and village board authorized Brad to publish a notice to do a public hearing in regards to comments related to the land division control ordinance. So we really don't need any motion because you guys approved it all last night. Okay. But just, I put it on just in case, because Jim typically, isn't able to come to those meetings, but I'm sure Jim's got a good reason for missing this meeting. So there's really no motion needed, but Brad, I'm going to have you take item F. It's establishing the spring brush policy. I didn't talk too in depth with Brett, but I'm sure you know why he wants this done, and explain to the board where Brett's coming from.
So Brett has been, we talked about this at the staff meeting, but Brett has been working on this to kind of address the issue. The previous literature that was sent out, newsletters and stuff like that, kind of said that the village would spend about 15 minutes at each property. This kind of was very ambiguous to staff in terms of they might be in front of one person's house for 15 minutes because they're waiting on a truck, and then go to the next house and have 5 trucks there and fill 5 trucks worth of brush. So the literature or the verbiage that was put before you guys was to limit the size of the piles to 4 feet in height, 10 feet in length, with up to branches up to 8 inches or 8 feet in length and 14 inches diameter, to help kind of limit the volume or the time that it takes crews to get through the village so that it's uniform. I think talking with staff, they feel that a vast majority of our property owners already abide to this size of stuff, and so it's not going to be too much of an issue, but there may be some that are there, but staff will work with them to educate them as we go through the first years, but also moving forward, kind of set the standard that's there.
So this is more than just this 1 year, that's establishing a policy for every year?
Yeah, I mean, at least, yes. And,
that can be changed by any board.
Yeah, at any time, but this is what the recommendations are for kind of this year in terms of what's there.
Well, kind of always been recommendations about that size pile.
It's been in the newsletter, but Brett and Brad kind of wanted an adopted policy. Something coming from the board, so when the people complain, they can say, well, that's what the village board told us to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's your opinion, Brad, and Brett's opinion that this is a good policy.
Yeah, I mean, I think a size like that makes it, there's not ambiguous to, well, were you there for 15 minutes, or what's 15 minutes, or things like that. It's easy to say, okay, here's the piles, this is what it is, okay, maybe it's 11 feet, okay, but, once you start seeing piles that are in front of somebody's entire front, from lot line to lot line, which there was a pile or two out there last year that were like that. It's just a drain on resources at times, depending on where it is.
People will cut a tree down.
Yeah.
And if it's a sizable tree, there's a lot of there's.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not meant for that.
And I know Brett's going to be more, I want to say, more flexible this year with allowing people to drop stuff off during that brush week, or even, I think, prior, so that if people do have excess of that, they can, and they have the ability, they can bring it in and drop that off.
I was impressed with the 14-inch diameter
Yeah.
size. I thought it used to be about 6.
Yeah.
14 inches. pretty darn good.
The machine they bring in, that we have Waukesha bring in is on a semi-trailer, and they load it with, our guys load it with our, front end loaders, but, the guy that runs it from Waukesha runs it all via remote control, so, it's a large machine that can handle that
It's really
time.
impressive. Did you guys ever come down and watch it? Oh, it's cool. Little boys really like that.
Yeah,
But you gotta keep them warm.
yeah.
I know.
Well, is there a motion to concur with the DPW director's, spring brush pickup policy?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second to that motion? Was that trustee Finch? Second by trustee Newman. Discussion, board members. Discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, well, it's unanimous. Next agenda item is one of our fun agenda items. It's the 2024 road paving project. Brad did put the whole PDF file on your, and I'm sure every one of you read all 436 pages of it.
Yeah,
Last night was mine. But it's that time of year, so what the motion would be is to authorizing staff to post the bid requirements for 2024 road paving program. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
And that was motion was made by trustee Millie, second by trustee Newman. Discussion, gentlemen.
I'm surprised they wanted to read that many pages for the paving project.
Oh,
Been on it.
and Brad, did you get a chance to contact
Yeah.
Andy?
Yes, I talked to engineer Andy Schultz today, as President Chu had asked, just to see if there had been any changes in the bidding law that would require review by Attorney Macy, and Andy Schultz said there was nothing that was changes to the bidding laws.
Yeah, I just wanted, when I talked to Brad, that's something that was always done. We always got a letter, or if Andy spoke to Brad, and Brad said that Andy said there's no reason that it needs legal review. He's really good about the fact if there's any change, in any part of the labor laws or state statutes or federal, Andy always says you better have your attorney take a look at it. So
I noticed that at the end of that thing, they had Hardwood Court and Johnson Avenue on there.
those are all addendums.
Those are addendums.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you wanna look at all, we wanna bid it all out, and then
Sure.
based on,
And choose what you.
right.
Yeah, because there's certain rules that, with the bids that, and don't quote me on the specifics, I'd have to bring Andy or Attorney Macy in here to talk about it, but if you approve a bid or you solicit for a bid, you can only modify it by so much before it's no longer there. So that's where, by doing these as addendums, we can pick and choose what we do, more so than saying, well, let's bid out 4 streets, but we're only gonna pick one. It causes that, so that's why you see them as addendums.
And I don't know if you remember, Dylan, but remember when we bid out the whole road project and they found out that Center Drive was actually falling apart and we had to rebid that portion because we had no idea it was as bad as it was. But like I said, Brad did check with Andy and we're good to go, so we have a motion made and seconded. Any further discussion from the board? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next agenda item is very simple. It's authorizing the village president to sign the compensation letter and the letter of engagement for Eggleston and Associates for the 2023 audit, which includes, in both of those includes our Form C. Is there a motion to that effect? To authorize the village president to sign both the engagement letter and compensation letter?
Is that on the agenda?
Yes, it's,
Yeah, it's the amendment, the one in front of you is the old
Oh,
one.
the amended.
It's the
yeah.
amendment,
Oh, on the computer?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right,
yes,
I'll make that motion.
I would never ask you to do anything illegal, John. Thank you, trustee Newman, for the motion, bless you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Finch. Discussion from board members. We just gotta get this going so we can go on our audit. Yay! All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're unanimous. Operator license, Brad, we have before us Mary Hnitzky. Is everything in order?
Yes, she's good to go.
And it's your recommendation that the board approve this operator's license?
Yeah, she's good to go. We did a background check and nothing to flag or bring her in for.
I'd make a motion to approve the clerk administrator's operator license recommendation for Macy Netsky, based upon all the information provided by the clerk administrator. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next agenda item is our favorite one, the Center Bridge project. And you did see the letter that was sent in, that was by a resident, right?
I believe so.
And then the attorneys were commenting if we want to, right, which is nice that they gave it to us, but it'd be kind of nice to have all the comments. We have the meeting on February 22nd from 6 to 7:30 with a presentation at 6:15. Just so board members know that since this was on the agenda, I did contact Waukesha County Parks and Land Use Department and also the Southeastern Wisconsin Fox River Commission. They have money. They also have some grant money. So not that I'm I'm saying the board's in favor of this or not, but anytime you want to do something, it always costs something. So I just wanted to see if this is something that the board even entertains based upon all of our comments. I just felt it should be put on the agenda so so that you don't mind that I'm asking other agencies if they have any money to fund this. Granted, it's not till we have time, but our board members, do you have any thoughts on that, or
As long as it
any
doesn't interfere with our government funding for the bridge itself, and
Right.
Yeah,
I don't have an opposition to
Yeah, this-
hearing out what it
just-
would cost.
yeah, just so the board
I'm kind of
knows.
concerned, there's not much room down there.
Yeah,
I know.
To put cars alongside the road
Yeah.
there. And,
that's,
I mean, it is,
Well, you know
it's
who's-
not very safe.
You know who's got the room down there? Is the county.
What?
The county.
Hmm.
But we can't talk to the county about land acquisition until we get the environmental impact study done. I did talk to Alan Barrows, who is a land resource expert at the county. He's also real involved in stormwater and also sits on the Southeastern Wisconsin Fox River Commission, just to see, the resources they have available. Because our grant fund cannot, this is not part of our grant. Our $2 million grant, just so, it's nice that resident said that, and I think a lot of people feel the same way he does about safety and, providing a good space, to launch a canoe, or I don't even know how deep it is there. I've never.
Well, canoe, you don't need much
No,
You don't?
depth to it, no.
but the road is so skinny back there, it'd be pretty expensive to try and add
And
it.
then you're carrying it across the road,
Yeah.
into the launch.
Well, and Big Ben has a nice launch, but did you ever see how they go next to It Ain't Heaven, or Heaven City, how they back down a dirt road? Oh,
That's a boat on a trailer, where
I-
here it's just, you
yeah.
carry the canoe or kayak off the vehicle, it's not where you're backing a trailer up, yeah.
so
There's been cars parked down there for years,
Oh,
through
right.
the summer and stuff, that's never been authorized. It's
Right.
just people just park there, right?
and there's not any restrictions on parking, there's not a no parking sign, so.
Right.
It's nice, I appreciate the person's comments, and if the board doesn't mind, I've put some feelers out to see if any other agency is interested in funding that, and like you said, we have no idea as far as the specs that the engineer provided doesn't give all the detail we would need, but at least, we acknowledge it, and I'm anxious to see what other comments we get on that
Yeah, because if
project.
people want to fish down there, forget the canoe, but they just want to fish, they're gonna park their car somewhere, so they're gonna have to.
Well, they actually bullfish too with bow and arrow.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because we had people call and complain, and they're doing it in the season, and the sheriff's department said it's absolutely fine. I think it's funny looking at when people must cast,
Power line.
you see all the jigs and that would be me. No. So there's really no motion required, but just a reminder, we do have that meeting on Thursday, February, that is a Thursday, right, Brad, the 22nd?
A week from tonight.
6 to 7:30, presentation at 6:15. So with that, we have our correspondence, announcements, and reports. Do you guys want to go first? Because I have a whole bunch. Would you like to go first, Trustee Finch?
Yes, I will. I don't have anything.
Oh. Trustee Newman, do you have any announcements, reports?
Nothing for this meeting, I'll save my comments for the
Okay.
next meeting.
Trustee Millies?
Nothing,
Okay, I'll try to do this quick. I just wanted to do a big thank you to the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department, the Vernon Fire Department members, and all the wonderful agencies and volunteers that helped in the search for the 16-year-old Isaac Kramer. I know our chief will provide the board with an entire list of all the wonderful people that assisted in that search. And a big thank you to the Salvation Army who provided food and beverages for the efforts. Brad opened up the village hall to have a command center here to help the searchers. And I know many people continue to pray for the safe return of Isaiah, and our thoughts and prayers go with the family at this time. I've had several meetings with the DOT and the DNR in regard to our wonderful application to clear the right-of-way in front of the fire department. We are meeting with the DOT and the DNR tomorrow at 10:30 because even though I had a forestry specialist from the DNR come out initially and do an analysis, they wanted a full-blown arborist. And the village board said, yes, we will do this, but I couldn't spend any money on it. So the expert that's coming from the DNR is an arborist who's coming for free. So that's the last portion of that application. And I have the DNR talking to the DOT, so once this is done, the highway department's ready to go with the battle axe to remove all that brush. It's the trees that the DOT is really concerned about. And I'm not a tree specialist, but those trees don't look like, half of them are dead. But I just wanted to let you know that's just about ready for completion. I also spent 7 hours on the phone going through with the federal government, all of our government agency accounts for grant writing. The fire department is writing a 400,000 plus grant. So getting that all straightened out was critical. And I have to thank Tammy Baldwin's staff because they were instrumental because that it's so technical, those government agencies. And so the chief's on, and then I'm going to add Brad so that he can be an administrator also onto that. That way Brad will have his own login. Everybody, it's really, they're really touchy about who does what. So just so you know that's in place, and then Brad's going to start writing some grants, right, Brad?
Sure.
I've also been working with the county highway department on looking at the hill on Edgewood and County Trunk ES. That's whatever happens there, that intersection, if anybody's ever been there in the morning or at night, it's hard, it's fine on National, but if you're trying to turn either left or right from Edgewood onto National, it's pretty scary. So two of the engineers from the highway department are taking a look at that and see what recommendations they can make. The problem is that area almost needs to be dropped. That the hill there needs to be dropped. And we also, the county, and talked, and so did the village of McGonigal. The three of us talked about, writing a grant, which they like, multi-jurisdictional grants. We have the county and two villages involved. So not that, that's what we're in the process of doing, of have them do the engineering analysis, because it is a county road, and I'll keep you posted. The only good thing I did find out too is the county is going to totally reconstruct Highway 164 to Crowbar in 2028. And I know we talked to the village of Big Bend about Big Bend Drive, but boy, if there's ever a time for us to do Big Bend Drive, if the county's doing a total reconstruction on that road, man, that's the time. And it would give the village of Big Bend time to raise money and also look for grant funding for that. But it's an over, I think they have $2.7 million in grants, but it's a $3+ million road project. But I just wanted, he's gonna send me the information.
You say Crowbar or 164?
We're 164 and go east to Crowbar.
National,
All
on
national.
National.
On National.
Yeah.
Oh, national,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry.
Total reconstruction. Yeah, and some of those houses are really close to the edge of the road, so we'll see. But they have a lot of work to do, but I just wanted to let you know that also. The Vernon, the fire chiefs, I asked the fire chiefs to come with me initially. I've had discussions with the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department in regards to establishing a good rapport with the Norris School and Adolescent Center, their treatment center, and their school. We had a great meeting with the fire chiefs and the Norris officials, and they'd like to come at some point and talk to the village board and our staff about what they all do, and, so we're gonna start that shortly. And I also asked their, public administrator if she could provide Brad with some information on what Norris is. I just thought Norris was a whole big complex. I didn't realize, I knew there was a Norris school, but I didn't know that there was a separate treatment center that's outside of the school, although some of those kids that are in treatment go to the school, and that they're also opening a facility in Milwaukee, I think on Mitchell Street. Norris is opening a treatment center down there also. But a great meeting, and they all want to meet you and get to know you. Let's see. Also, I did get a couple complaints in regards to our contract sheriff who was sitting on the freeway writing tickets, and that is not true. If anybody tells you I saw the our contracted sheriff writing on the freeway writing tickets, there was a sheriff writing tickets, a deputy writing tickets, but it wasn't our contracted. Our contracted deputy always stays in Vernon. He's not. So if you have residents say, "Hey, I saw that's not our."
Was it a Waukesha?
It was a county. It was a county sheriff.
County,
Yes, but it wasn't our contracted. So if
Okay.
people raise that to you, Riley always stays right in our little village, right, Riley? And then last but not least, I have to do one more commercial, and if anybody can get this out, I'm going to ask other agencies. The Village of Big Bend is still looking for someone in the afternoons or some additional people to help with cross-guarding duties for Big Bend Elementary. So if anybody knows of anyone that could help out, they don't have to, they'll take whatever they can get if they can get this part-time or whatever someone can do. If they could please contact the Village of Big Bend, they're really desperate to get somebody out to help in the afternoons. They got mornings all lined up, but afternoons is a problem. And with that, I'll be quiet. Brad?
I don't have much to add. Like Karen said, it was busy here last Thursday and Friday with the search. Thanks for everybody all the agencies that were here. We continue to hope the kid comes home safe. Tuesday, we do have our election for the Waterford School District for the referendum. So we'll be here at Village Hall just for this election, but turnout will be very light as we only have 2 registered voters currently that are eligible to vote on Tuesday. So we do have that, and then beyond that, we've just been busy with a bunch of other stuff in terms of getting ready for the election, and then also financial stuff too.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brad. Board members, you saw that Brad put the sheriff and fire department reports in your packet. So with that, we're jumping right into accounts payable. Brad, everything was fine. There's only 2 entries that I thought would go in 2020-23, and but I found absolutely, just a couple little things, but nothing that would impede the approval of the accounts payable. So I'm just trying to get to that. I'd make a motion to approve accounts payable in the amount of $136,299.93. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Is there discussion? Discussion? None? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Second batch is our tax refunds. Batch number, Brad, I didn't do the batch number before, 2016-2024, in the amount of $36,425.39. I would make a motion to approve. These are reviewed by our staff, Brad, the treasurer, so that's why I'm making the motion. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Finch. Discussion. And some of the bigger ones, those were double payments.
Mm-hmm.
I think Terry said there were mortgage companies that double paid. Pretty bad.
The money people.
Homeowners and plant commissioners.
I would say it for you.
Yeah.
Further discussion from the board. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Board members, before you, Brad has given you the manual checks. This is with my raise of $2,380,1002 to 380-810-02. And these are our settlement checks for taxes and a few refunds that need to be,
And the bond payments.
and the bond payment. And Brad had this before, and I'll give everybody a chance to look at it again before anybody, I'll let you guys make a motion, because I really talked to Brad.
So do they have the new numbers, these two?
Remember?
No, it's a $2,000,000.
Yeah, just announced it.
$587.40.
And the reason it's different is, Brad just added, just a $222.59 addition to the county settlement, which
Yeah,
made it,
I have 810.
Yeah, 810. Yeah, and that's what she said.
yeah.
So what's on the sheet is incorrect. There's $222,
Okay.
as President True just said.
That's the difference.
So we'll void that out, and it's actually a wire that the county prefers. So
Yeah, so they'll do the correct wire of $422.1630, correct, Brad?
Yep.
I guess I'll make the motion to
Approve the
approve
manual
the
check?
manual checks in the amount of $2,380,810.02.
Perfect. Is there a second of trustee Finch's motion?
Second.
Second by trustee Newman. Discussion? Discussion, gentlemen? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item C, we're gonna have to hold off on because, although, Brad does have the bank statement, well, the ACH payments, financials, we're gonna go through at the finance meeting on Monday. The ACH payments, we're gonna have to go through that when we have the entries, so we have to verify the entries that are in workforce, the bank statement, so we're gonna table that if the board members don't mind. The bank statements were in your packet. And Brad, forgive me, did you have any minutes that were ready for approval?
I thought there was one in there, but if you guys want to table all of them until
I don't know if I saw
I
it.
didn't see one.
maybe there wasn't. I
Okay.
thought maybe the fourth was in there, but
Well, then, with that, I'm just gonna let the public know that, once again, we have our public information meeting on Center Bridge Project from 6 to 7:30 on Thursday the 22nd at the Village Hall here. Our next board meetings are March 7th and March 21st, and we have a joint Plan Commission Village Board meeting on March 13th. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I'm sorry to keep you so late, gentlemen. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? How about discussion? Is there any discussion on the motion?
I didn't seem very excited about it.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, audience.
You didn't need to do it that night.
Yeah.